midst of darkness, where hope seems lost, we often wonder if God is truly present with us. But the truth is that God's presence does not waver, even in the darkest moments of our lives. When we feel overwhelmed by pain and despair, it's easy to lose sight of God's divine assurance. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that God's presence shines brightest, offering us comfort and strength. God's love is like a beacon of light, cutting through the darkness and leading us towards a place of peace. When we are in the midst of trials and tribulations, it can be challenging to perceive God's presence. But even when we cannot see or feel God, we can trust that He is there, working behind the scenes. In the darkness, God's presence is not dependent on our perception but is constant and unwavering. Sometimes, it is through our brokenness and pain that we experience a deeper connection with God. The reassurance of God's presence in the darkest moments gives us the strength and courage to persevere. Even when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, God is by our side, guiding us through. In moments of darkness, we can draw closer to God, seeking solace and finding hope in His presence. No matter how deep the darkness may be, God's light will always shine brighter, illuminating our path. God's presence in darkness reminds us that we are never alone, for He is our constant companion. Even when our circumstances seem hopeless, we can find comfort in knowing that God is with us. In the depths of despair, God's presence acts as a lifeline, preventing us from being swallowed by darkness. God's divine assurance in the darkness encourages us to keep going, to hold on to faith and persevere. It is in the moments of our greatest need that we come to truly know and experience God's presence. When the storms of life rage around us, God's presence is the anchor that keeps us grounded and safe. In the face of uncertainty and fear, God's presence provides us with the peace that surpasses all understanding. In the darkness, God's presence transforms our pain into purpose, our despair into hope. God's presence in the darkness is a reminder that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. When we feel isolated and abandoned, God's presence assures us that we are deeply loved and cherished. In moments of darkness, we can find solace in prayer, connecting our hearts to the presence of God. God's presence in the darkness brings healing, restoration, and a renewed sense of purpose. Even in the darkest nights of the soul, God's presence is a steadfast source of hope and comfort. When we feel overwhelmed by the darkness, we can seek refuge in the arms of God's loving presence. In times of darkness, it is in our surrender that we can fully experience the presence of God. God's presence in the darkness reminds us that He is with us, even when we struggle to see or understand. When we invite God into our darkness, His presence illuminates our hearts and fills us with peace. In the midst of the storm, God's presence calms our fears and brings serenity to our souls. Just as the night gives way to the dawn, the darkness in our lives cannot overcome God's light. God's presence in the darkness assures us that we are never alone, for He is our eternal companion. Even when we are lost in the depths of despair, God's presence leads us towards the path of hope. In the darkness, God's presence reveals His unconditional love and unfailing faithfulness towards us. No matter how deep our pain may be, God's presence has the power to transform our lives. In the face of uncertainty, God's presence provides us with the certainty of His unwavering love. When we feel overwhelmed by the darkness, we can trust that God is working all things together for our good. God's presence in the darkness is a constant reminder that nothing can separate us from His love.